Oh my gosh, okay guys, we've got 5 days until Dub, and yeah, we'll do a last minute predictions video, stay tuned for that. I'm just not planning on doing it today because today was the last possible day there would be a website refresh pre the keynote, okay? It's Wednesday, Apple doesn't do site refreshes on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays, so unless they're gonna do something they never done before, it means that the chance of the iMac being a small site refresh have now gone away. There's something in store for Dub this year, and I know you hate it when I say Dub, but you gotta cut me some slack here because I'm frankly nervous. There's so many things that could go wrong. There's so many things that could tick me off. So without further ado, let's talk about all the ways the iMac could go wrong this Monday. Let's begin. So in case you weren't aware by my previous fanboying videos about a redesigned iMac, I'm a huge fan of all-in-one designs. In fact, I'm a diehard fan of the iMac lineup, and my biggest frustration with it is it's been neglected, its design hasn't changed in the past 10 years, and they've done very little with the thing to the point that you can max it out with a 2TB SSD. It still only has 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports when the Mac Mini has had 4 for the past 2 years, and the webcams are still sub 1080p, despite them not having the same argument that the MacBooks have. Well, the display panel is really thin, so they can't put a good webcam in there. iMac Pro can do 1080p, but they just don't feel like doing that in their $2,000 all-in-one iMac design for whatever reason. But there's several ways they could do the iMac poorly, and that's what I'm concerned about. For one, this redesign, maybe it'll suck. I mean, I saw this glyph floating around that apparently was in iOS 14, so I don't think I truly believe it. But the bezels on this glyph look quite about as thick as the current iMac bezels. They just happen to be uniform. So in other words, could the redesigned iMac just essentially look like the Apple Cinema display? I would say that's a design improvement, but it would definitely be a letdown given I'm expecting iPad Pro design language, and I'm also anticipating Pro display-like bezels. So with that in mind, if Apple Cinema display that also had a computer built into it came out, I mean, it would be kind of neat. It'd be like, okay, I mean, that's better, but definitely a bit underwhelming compared to the concepts and rendering so many of us are thinking of. Another way it could go horribly wrong is from all of the stupid conceptors out there that keep designing the iMac with the Pro stand. Are you guys mad? The stand that was so controversial that so many people meme to death for being $1,000, you want to bring that to the iMac? What? You just want it to cost an extra $1,000? Not that I think that is going to happen. I mean, the idea of the iMac is that you're able to buy a computer that's all one unit that you're able to pull out of a box, put on your desk, plug in, and it starts working. So the idea of using it with a giant Pro stand like that, I mean, it doesn't really make sense. They still have the chin, and kind of the point of the Pro stand is that you can swivel the monitor in the vertical position. So if you had a chin while doing, no, it doesn't make sense. But either way, I'm just hoping the Pro stand stays far, far away from the iMac line, okay? Just use your cheap little basic iMac stand that you've been using for a while. You don't need to redesign that. It's cheap, it works, it's fine. The other big thing I'm worried about with this upcoming iMac is how they price it. I know that so many people like where the iMac prices currently rest, because they're like, hey, it starts at, $1,300 and you can get a 27-inch 5K iMac for $1,800. So getting a redesigned one means that the prices should stay mostly the same, right? No. Okay, remember, this is Apple we're talking about here. And also, the current prices you're looking at are including fusion drives, literal spinning hard drives inside these things, incredibly cheap. And if the rumors are true and SSDs are becoming a standard with the iMac lineup, the prices are absolutely going up. Just for the solid state drives alone, I know SSDs have gotten cheaper over the years, but they haven't gotten cheaper than fusion drives. And if Apple's updating the internals that drastically, there's no way, in my opinion, that the prices are going to be exactly the same as what they are now and include a redesign, because I'm sure the retooling and remanufacturing of iMac assembly lines that have to shrink down the bezels and change the way the iMac is fundamentally built, that kind of stuff is not cheap. So I'm absolutely expecting prices to go up. I'm just hoping they don't go up too much, because if you remember what Apple did with the Mac Pro, I feel like they completely shifted course on what the Mac Pro market really stands for. Because before, with the trash can Mac Pro, that started at $3,000 and maxed out was a little over $6,000. And then when they decided to finally give it the update update everyone wanted, then it started at 6,000 and maxes out at like 50,000, right? I get that's the Pro, so hopefully iMacs aren't in the same boat, but I'm just saying it's happened before. Everyone was hearing something great and thinking that there was going to be this big refresh that they've all wanted for the longest time, and then it came out, and yes, it's modular, yes, it's upgradable, but it's also absurdly more expensive than anyone was anticipating. So if they did that with the iMac line, ugh, I couldn't justify it. I would be so in love with the design of making, you know, a Pro display like iMac, but if it starts at 10,000 bucks, then, oh god, I couldn't justify myself paying for that. As much as it may look good, I just wouldn't do it. And that kind of ties in with the other thing I'm worried about with the next gen iMac. If they put Pro display technology in it, Apple, I know it's probably too late to change your mind, but what I was really hoping for was for you to take the exact same panels, even lower pixel density panels would be fine, the same screens you're using in your iMac, just in a thinner bezeled design. You don't have to update the dynamic range, you don't have to change the resolutions, you don't have to do anything fancy with the display itself other than fix this giant frame that it was sitting inside of. So I'm hoping they can save money that way by keeping the displays the same size and just having, you know, a thinner overall bezel that looks like the iPad Pro all the way around. That would be wonderful. That would be fantastic. But knowing how Apple went all out with their standalone monitor, because we had been hearing for years that Apple was going to get back into the standalone monitor business, and a lot of us were thinking, oh, you know, you're going to bring back the Thunderbolt display or the Cinema display. Maybe be around 1,500, 2,000 bucks and you'll have nice modern looking screen made by Apple. And it was, but it also started at $6,000. So they went all out, they went too overkill with it, and I guess that's my biggest concern with the iMac line, is them going too far, going overkill with the redesign to the point that it's not even practical. And there have been many, many times in the past where we thought there was going to be something cool and then it ends up costing twice as much as we think. So I'm worried about that just from experiencing that myself in the past, and really, really do not want that to happen. But I guess we'll see within a matter of days. I'm very curious how Apple is going to position this new iMac in the lineup. I'm pretty confident they're going to just discontinue the old iMacs and not sell them anymore. Like, hopefully get rid of that one 1080p iMac that's still sitting around there for some reason. And also, I don't know how to feel about the iMac Pro's position in the lineup, because if my wildest dreams come true and they've got good specs, good GPU, good prices, good redesign for these updated iMacs, the thermals are good, the webcam is nice and everything, then what would be the point of the iMac Pro in the lineup? It's very dated as it is. They haven't updated it anytime soon, so maybe what they're planning is to phase out the iMac Pro with these new iMacs because they're getting powerful enough that the audience and demographic that cared about the iMac Pro can now just stick with a regular iMac because the power for dollar is just about as good, if not better. Or maybe Apple's planning to make an iMac Pro redesign of sorts that will have Pro Display XDR type tech, but also have a computer on the inside of it, which I can't think of many people that need like that reference monitor like quality, but at the same time they want it to be an all-in-one design. But I don't know, Apple likes finding these tiny demographics that is willing to pay $10,000, $20,000 for a machine. Maybe they'll do that. So I guess we'll see. But needless to say, I am nervous and I am scared about what's going to happen next. And I love hearing so many of your guys' predictions say, Drew, you're overthinking it. It's not going to be that much more expensive. It's just going to be a modern, fresh take with good specs, and it's going to be reasonably priced. You know, it just sounds too good to be true that I'm living in denial, and I'm having a hard time accepting that fact. Come Monday, we'll know for sure, and I can finally sleep at night. Anyway, what other concerns do you guys have? Is it the fact that we're probably not going to get upgradable RAM on this redesign? Let me know your stupid ideas by hitting me up over on Twitter. Join my Discord and we can chat more about it there. This is your Apple Sheep here. Stop subscribing to my channel.